Matthew is rumbling up the Atlantic coast. The Carolinas took a direct hit Saturday as the storm finally made landfall. At least 11 people in the U.S. have been killed. Nearly 2 million homes and businesses in 4 states are without power.
Matthew turned deadly in North Carolina, killing at least 3 there. The storm also brought down part of a pier in Oak Island. Hours earlier, it made landfall north of Charleston, South Carolina, knocking out power to more than 400,000 in the process. Parts of the Palmetto State are under a dusk to dawn curfew, as much of the coastal region remains under evacuation orders. Governor Nikki Haley.
Do not plan on going back home today or tomorrow. It is not going to be safe for you to go in.
Hundreds of roads were left underwater, including one leading to a major area hospital. Trees and power lines blocked others, but reports of substantial property damage remain limited so far. Charleston had been bracing for a direct hit. That didn't happen, but flooding remains a major concern. Damage assessments aren't likely until sometime on Sunday.
I'm Jerika Duncan in Savannah, Georgia, where Hurricane Matthew broke storm surge records. Nearby on Tybee Island, sea levels were pushed to 12.5 feet. The previous record was set in 1979 by Hurricane David. Throughout Savannah, flooded roads are making it difficult for the National Guard and city workers to clean up trees and power lines brought down by gusts that reached over 70 miles per hour. Officials say around 75% of people here left the Savannah area. Many who remained are in the dark, waiting for their electricity to return.
Police are still urging people to stay off the road. It's unclear when they will tell people it's okay to return home.
I'm Errol Barnett in Jacksonville, Florida. At least 6 reported deaths and widespread coastal erosion were caused by Hurricane Matthew's 9-foot storm surge and consequent flooding. Jacksonville received record rainfall and a highway near Daytona was partially washed away. But the governor and people we've talked to are relieved the storm did not make direct landfall here.
I want to thank people that evacuated and took this seriously, because I can tell you none of us up here want to see a loss of life.
Efforts to restore power to the 1.2 million people who had been without electricity since the storm approached continue. Rena, it is expected power will be completely restored by the end of the weekend.
From the air, Hurricane Matthew's impact on Haiti becomes clearer. The death toll has doubled to almost 900 as rescuers get access to the country's poor and densely populated southern coast. UN officials estimate that 350,000 people are in need of emergency assistance. In the town of Jeremy, which saw 80% of its buildings flattened, aid has begun to arrive. With many towns cut off by flooding, supplies must arrive by air, giving an eagle-eye view of the damage.
There are fears that disease could threaten survivors of Hurricane Matthew, which has already taken the lives of nearly 900 people in Haiti. Cholera has killed more than a dozen in the southwest, according to officials. Still more are being treated in hospital in Jeremy. The Pan American Health Organization has warned of a huge surge in cholera cases. The poor Caribbean island has been hit by widespread flooding. This local politician says a lot of people died. Yesterday we registered 438 dead in my region. We've got 25 people suffering from cholera. A lot of people are wounded. The situation is dire. It's a catastrophe. The UN's emergency fund is releasing $5 million for Haiti. It's already loaned $8 million to UNICEF to respond to the cholera outbreak. It's estimated 750,000 people need emergency aid.
As if Hurricanes Matthew and Nicole weren't enough, the Japan Meteorological Agency reported early Saturday that the largest active volcano in Japan has erupted. The eruption sent a column of smoke and ash nearly 7 miles into the air. According to CNN, the agency raised the alert level for the area to 3, with 5 being the highest level. It also warned members of the public not to approach Mount Aso and to beware of falling rocks. Makoto Sato, director of the agency's volcanology division, told CNN affiliate TV Asahi on Saturday that it is extremely rare for an eruption column to rise this high. He added that while the volcano is in its active phase, there is a possibility another eruption of the same scale could occur.
investigation is underway in New York following yet another oil spill at the Indian Point power plant. Hundreds of gallons of oil leaked into a draining canal, possibly leaking into the Hudson River, leaving many people at risk.
And the cleanup continues here in New York. It was just last week that 600 gallons of oil spilled into a drainage canal leading into the Hudson River. The Department of Environmental Conservation and the Department of Public Service launched a comprehensive review of the spill at the Indian nuclear plant led by Governor Andrew Cuomo. Both state agencies announced that they would look into the matter as it pertains to the operational reliability and the safety of the aging nuclear power plant. The DEC said that visual inspection discovered rusted and broken containment systems in and along the discharge canal that suggests that due to either poor design or maintenance that the infrastructure may be inadequate to prevent contaminant releases into the Hudson River. But this isn't the first time this plant has malfunctioned. Since 2011, there have been over 40 different oil spills and unexpected events occurring that have led to shutdowns, which has earned repeated criticism from Governor Cuomo.
Now the last one on creepy clowns. Our friends at the Times reported that these sort of sightings have led to more than a dozen arrests, and some local law enforcement agencies are asking the FBI and DHS what to do about creepy clown sightings. So I'm wondering if the president's aware of this phenomenon and the White House wants to say anything to discourage these types of pranks.
I don't know that the president has been briefed on this particular situation. This is something that I've read about in some of the news coverage. Obviously, this is a situation that local law enforcement authorities take quite seriously.
There are concerns tonight that these creepy clowns and threats online will continue to grow.
A woman claims she was attacked by a man in a clown suit just this morning.
It seems as if a new report of a threatening clown pops up by the hour.
Police have their hands full with these possible sightings.
The clown reportedly appeared inside these woods.
Whether they are pranks, threats, or actual sightings, police and other officials have to take them seriously as a potential threat to safety. And that's starting to drain resources from law enforcement agencies who are also concerned about feeding into hysteria.
And the clown craze draining local police resources.
People in Green Country say they're getting tired of the clown craze.
I think people have lost their minds.
Local law enforcement say they can't quite remember when something caught fire so fast.
It does take, drain resources.
Broken Arrow schools had to deal with a threat Thursday, a social media post that simply showed a clown and said, "I'm coming for you."
You guys don't have a choice what to do with that.
Right, we still have to take it seriously. Even if we don't believe there's any validity at all, we still have to address it.
People have reported incidents across Green Country. Police and sometimes school districts have had to get involved.
Come on, you don't have anything else to do with your free time?
The Wagner police chief agrees. They arrested someone Friday for intimidating customers outside McDonald's. There's a statute that elevates the crime of intimidation if you're wearing a mask to conceal your identity.
We can't just let people think, oh, well, you can do this and there's no consequences.
Broken Arrow police say you might think it's funny, but if anything you do intimidates or threatens others, you can be arrested. They say it's affecting everyone's safety when they get tied up.
The cops can't make it to the calls that people need the most.
I really hope this dies down quickly and before, someone actually seriously is hurt or worse.
Two militants suspected of planning a car bombing in Turkey blew themselves up in an operation near Ankara after refusing to surrender to police. Forensic teams found plastic explosives and 200 kilograms of ammonium nitrate. The provincial governor said there was a high probability of a link to the Kurdistan Workers' Party or PKK, adding that they were probably going to attack the capital. Kurdish militants have been responsible for a wave of bombings in Turkey since a truce broke down last year.
Police are searching for a Syrian asylum seeker after hundreds of grams of explosives were found in his apartment in the East German town of Chemnitz. The man, who was born in Damascus, has been named as 22-year-old Jabba al-Bakr, who arrived in Germany last year. 3 people have so far been arrested, none of them al-Bakr, 2 at Chemnitz train station and a 3rd in the town. Police have evacuated the apartment block and the area around it as they prepare to safely dispose of the explosives. A police spokesman said they had received a tip-off from a domestic security agency that al-Bakr might be about to carry out a bomb attack. But so far, police said they don't know who or what al-Bakr was trying to target. In July, 2 attacks were carried out in Germany and claimed by Islamic State, an axe attack on a train near Würzburg, and a suicide bombing which wounded 20 people in Ansbach.
Anti-refugee demonstrations have been held in the eastern German town of Bautzen. Tensions have been running high there since 400 refugees, mainly from Syria, were settled in the area over the past year.
The town of Bautzen in eastern Germany has become ground zero for the anti-immigrant movement and protests that are sweeping through eastern Germany and other parts of this country. These people say that Angela Merkel has betrayed them by opening up borders to refugees who they consider to be criminals. They say these borders need to be shut and the flow of refugees needs to be stopped.
Paris is known around the world as a city of style, class and glamour. But the reality right now in the French capital is a long way from that. Tent cities are springing up all over town every day as thousands of refugees set up camp on these famous boulevards. So now Paris is becoming the first capital city in Europe to custom build new refugee camps to deal with what is now the biggest mass migration of people since World War II.
It's completely a new experience for the city of Paris. 2 years ago we didn't have this kind of problem, so now we are learning how to welcome these persons, how to treat this problem.
Paul Klugman is from the Mayor's office and showed us the plans for the 2 new structures being built in metropolitan Paris.
Once these camps are up and running, they'll house around 1,000 migrants. But the reality is that that'll barely scratch the surface of the issue here. The number of refugees actually arriving in Paris over the last year has been in the tens of thousands, and that figure is expected to continue to steadily rise.
We are afraid that all the refugees come here and stay outside the camp and put their tent there, and it will be a big mess.
Кто против? Russia has vetoed a draft UN Security Council resolution that would have demanded an end to airstrikes on Aleppo in Syria. The French draft was vetoed by Moscow's ambassador, currently the Council president. Meanwhile, a rival Russian text failed to gain the minimum 9 votes to pass. China was one of only 4 countries to back it. The draft removed the demand for an end to airstrikes and put the focus back on a failed US-Russian ceasefire deal. The diplomatic deadlock came at the end of a week that seen the US suspend talks with Russia on Syria. It's the 5th time Moscow has blocked UN resolutions over the war.
Your veto today, Mr. President, has only confirmed what we've known for so long. Russia's actions in recent weeks have exposed just how hollow Russia's commitment to the political process is.
Well, Germany says a rising tension between the United States and Russia is more dangerous than the Cold War. In an interview with the German newspaper, Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier said the reasons for conflict between Russia and the U.S. are increasing. He stressed that the remnants of mutual trust have been exhausted between the two countries. Steinmeier also warned against a return to the days of global confrontation.
The Russian Defense Ministry said on Saturday that Russia has moved nuclear-capable Iskander-M missiles into the Kaliningrad enclave bordering Poland and Lithuania. The ministry added it was part of routine drills. A U.S. intelligence official said on Friday that Russia had started moving the Iskander-Ms into the enclave on the Baltic in what it said could be a gesture to express displeasure with NATO. Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said one of the missiles had been deliberately exposed to a U.S. spy satellite. He said, "We did not have to wait for too long. Our American partners confirmed it themselves in their revelatory endeavor." Lithuania, which is a neighbor to Kaliningrad and a member of NATO, said it would protest to Moscow.
We've got a news alert for you now. Russia just added hundreds of new warheads to its nuclear arsenal. According to Bill Gertz at the Washington Free Beacon, he reports that Russia increased its deployed nuclear warheads over the past 6 months under a strategic arms reduction treaty. They've added warheads under a reduction treaty. This is the U.S. nuclear warhead stock. Meanwhile, U.S. nuclear warhead stocks declined sharply, according to the State Department. They say that during the very same period, the United States cut its deployed nuclear warheads by 114, increasing the disparity between the two nuclear powers. They write Russia's warhead increases since 2011 suggest that Moscow does not intend to cut its nuclear forces and will abandon the New START arms accord as part of a new major nuclear buildup. You see, President Putin sees President Obama as just a weak president. He doesn't care. He said he knows he's not going to do anything because Obama's too concerned about sex changes in the military, about forcing his national security services to do diversity and inclusion training. Well, President Obama just called everyone at the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and the Department of Defense racist. Elizabeth Harrington for the Washington Free Beacon reports that President Obama, get this, is ordering all national security agencies to expand the use of unconscious bias training and address intersectionality in a late push for diversity and inclusion in the federal government. Remember, Hillary Clinton said everybody is inherently biased, right? Everyone's inherently racist. And of course, now Obama attempting to do that on all of the national security services. You're right that the president issued a memorandum on Wednesday entitled Promoting Diversity and Inclusion in the National Security Workforce. The memo requires all 17 agencies, including the Pentagon, State Department, and Department of Homeland Security, to report back in 4 months on their progress in collecting information about diversity in their workforce, such as employees' sexual orientation and gender identity. I mean, meanwhile, Putin's like, fine, we're gonna build up our military, we're gonna go to war in Syria, we're gonna make Obama look like a bitch in front of the world, and that's what he's doing.